Back to Fern Glade to try and find these platypus. A different path through the scrub this time, so hopefully we'll see some interesting things and maybe a platypus. And then on to the scrub. Fairly gentle, lots of overhanging trees. Bit of a breeze today, but not too bad down here in the valley. And as ever, we have some climbing to do. But that's good, we get it out of the way early and it's downhill home. Lots of late spring flowering. Pretty little flowers those. Little being the key word. Just gone through a dog leg. You can see it's more of a bushy path. Keep our wits about us. And we will get up to the platypus viewing areas. Fairly heavy scrub through here, but a nice pathway. Well made. Not ideal for wheelchairs, I wouldn't think, but all good for Shank's pony. Some fairly tall trees in this part of the world. Lots of bird song. Approaching 11 o'clock-ish, so the morning song's gone, but you can see there's a fallen tree there, rotted away at the stump. So as I say, we keep our wits about us and keep our eyes out for wallaby as well. Nice gentle gradient at this stage. And quite pleasant in amongst the trees. It's actually quite pleasant in here. In the direct sunlight it's quite warm for this time of year. But in here amongst the forest it's quite pleasant. Gently undulating path. A little bit of a false flat. And then down again before we head back up. We're basically following the line of the river, about maybe 100 metres off to the right bank side, which means this is ideal wallaby country through here. Starting to get a little steeper, but really nothing too strenuous. And it looks like we've come across a vehicle just over the crest. There on the other side of the road. A little bit of a dip here before rising back up to the road. I'm not sure where we go from there. We'll decide when we get there. There will be obvious marks, I suspect. Definitely a roadway. There is a sign just near the vehicle. We'll have a look. A bit further than I intended to go today, so we'll go off to the right, follow the roadway down, which is very easy on the foot. Definitely see the height of the trees here, really impressive. And a fairly steep drop down the roadway to get back down to the river, I guess. And the wind is starting to pick up, especially in the tops of the trees, but we're okay down here. See how high that one is, and we come down to the cutting, you can see what's holding it up. Pretty damp soil at that. The return path down the bottom. We'll keep going along this path till we reach the platypus viewing area. And it's down around here that the riverside walk comes in contact with this more bushy roadway walk. Trees on the right, a few picnic tables, and then the roadway opens up to a picnic area up there. And it's through that gap between those two buildings that gets us to where I've seen platypus in the past. And through we go. go and have a look at the Emu River. Going reasonably quickly at the moment. As you can see, we have had a bit of rain in the last month, which makes up for the lack of rain we didn't get at the start of winter. It's in those banks over there that the platypus build their burrows, where they raise their young. Are of course monotremes, only two of those extant that we're aware of. It's platypus and echidna. Monotreme is a mammal that lays eggs, which is a bizarre thing, but then compared to marsupials it's all a bit bizarre. This section here is where I saw one swimming a couple of years back now. There's been a few floods and bottom realignments and whatnot in the river. When it rains and it pours down these hills, which are fairly slab-sided and straight, you get an awful lot of runoff real quick. And down in amongst those branches would be another good spot for a platypus burrow. Got a bit more protection. I'll just sit here for a while, let the film run, and if I catch anything I'll edit it in for you. Today we'll keep trying till we find one to put on film. So back in one of those buildings we went between has the free barbecue, as is standard around these parts, and some fairly basic picnic seating. We'll head back along the river and the track that follows it rather than the way we came in. Quite a gentle gurgling sound coming from the river as she drops over that little pile of rocks. Quite a comforting sound. So we head through here. More picnic tables that lead down to the lavatories we saw before. This is the Tasmanian waratah, which is not to be confused with the New South Wales waratah, which is their state's floral emblem. We have one growing at home. They have to be cut down quite severely, but they do flower rather nicely. Kingbilly pine, it's really good for wooden boat building. It's not actually a pine. I'll give you a look at it when we get closer. This is just a young'un. It's good to see it's being replanted. Like the Huon pine, the Kingbilly they're both good for boat building, and they're both very slow growing. And the myrtle, Nothophagus cunninghamii, known in the northern hemisphere as the southern beech, very slow growing again, but they can get up to 50 metres and they're really good timber. And to complete the collection, the Huon pine. Not going to pronounce that. Our oldest one is 3,462 years old, and only the American bristle pine is older. We get a look at it. Quite a scraggly little thing, but as I say, they're long lived and very slow growing. Have a look at the Emu River. Seems to have slowed down a little bit here. And of course the Gondwanaland Tree Fern. There's another one there. You rarely see them on their own. There's a couple more. Now this is another one that's really big with honey producers. It's not a type of honey I enjoy, but it is quite flavourful, and they're a bit quicker growing, as you can see. Path on the way back goes up the high side of the Emu River, and of course another uphill section. Always a clue when there's a handrail. But you do get a good view up here of the cleanliness of the water, even there's a bit of a brown tannin tinge to it at the moment. You can still see through to the bottom of the creek, as you can see there. Give you an idea of the size of the timbers that are moved about when it's in flood. and it can be a roaring monster. Just continue on up. I think we hit a high point and it's gently downhill to the car park. I'm not sure if you can pick it up, but there's the sound of the river burbling, the breeze in the top of the trees, and bird song. So much bird song. I'm not sure what the word is. Might be a grove or a plantation of tree ferns. Maybe even a copse. There's a few of them there. Approaching a little viewing platform, so we'll have a look out over the river there. There he is, the magnificent fairy wren. That's the female. They're not that magnificent. It's the males are completely covered in an iridescent blue on their tail and breast, and a little bit on their head. There's an artist's interpretation of the platypus nursery and burrows. As I said before, they dig into the side of the bush, side of the bank. Now we do get some flotsam, I guess, stuff that screams down the river when she's in flood, and then when the river turns, it drops it. And you can see there, huge mass of timber that's been dropped. Back onto the pathway. And here's a look at that flood debris from another angle. There's a fair mass of timber in there. And it got thrown quite a distance from the corner. Zoom in a bit there. Yep. Here you see the new growth on the tree ferns. They just unwind. And this is down from that last dump of trees. There's a fair amount of sand got moved as well. So I imagine the platypus burrows have to change from time to time. These are some of the tallest tree ferns I've had the pleasure of walking under. Sure, there's bigger down the west coast. But quite an embracing little avenue of them through here. Almost like being back in Gondwanaland without the without the dinosaurs. It's quite a comforting space to be in, funnily enough. The birds seem to think so too. Another little picnic table up here. You can sit amongst the tree ferns and have your lunch. And just beyond the picnic table there's another viewing platform out over the river. So we'll go and have a look out on the viewing platform, see if we can spot any platypus. And on we go. Have a look at a much stiller section of the river. Ideal platypus country, but like all sensible people, it's probably tucked up in bed for a siesta at lunchtime. This leads us to some more picnic tables and of course the ever popular free barbecue, scrupulously clean as usual. We've just had a glimpse of Gondwanaland. As you can see from the far bank on that picture, there's lots of tree ferns. And down that track is where we hit our first track. And you can see on the far side there's some fairly tall eucalypts. And I'm afraid this sculpture's about as close as we're going to get today. We will be back, we will get it on film.